Hello and welcome back to Eagle Rising and what is quite possibly the final episode of this series, because obviously in the very first episode I outlined our objective for this series, and that was basically to unite the entirety of the Imperium territory and factions, and that's actually kind of what we've already done to a certain extent. As you can quite clearly tell here, we have Argaron, Atrion Castle, Myzea, and maybe to a lesser extent Epinosa Castle, as well as Mechalovia Castle, of course, to still capture. However, Argaron is currently under siege by Mr. Abelitos himself. I'm very much hoping that he will be able to capture that by himself, solo, completely on his own bat. And hopefully I will be able to take Myzea myself. So let's see what happens here. Hopefully it's going to be a simple affair. And look at that. Yes, Argaron has actually been taken by Abelitos. So that is really, really good. And now if we can uphold our end of the bargain and take this, then everything else is going to fall into line very smoothly, very nice, and, well, perfect, basically. That is going to be an extremely perfect ending to the series, because generally, as I said, that was our objective to begin with, and we did get a little bit off bat, going over to the Sturgian territory, going over to Azerai territory, and so on and so forth. But generally, sometimes if there's only one war going on, you kind of have to go where the action is, if you know what I mean. So that kind of, yeah, that kind of influenced things a little bit. But obviously, you can't always get the conflict that you want when you want it. I mean, you can force the war, of course, but some of the time, if your faction is at war against multiple units, probably, well, should we say multiple enemies, it's probably not going to be the best idea to cause another one and then end up weakening your faction overall. That's going to be really, really harsh. But thankfully, it seems like things are going quite nicely here. As you can see, we still have a couple of people on the battlements putting up a very fierce resistance. But I'm very much hoping that we will be able to penetrate that, and I'm going to fall off here. Yeah, I wasn't really paying too much caution to me falling off, because generally there are going to be a lot of units in and around the courtyard area, and I'm perfectly happy to do some damage to them instead. Yeah, it seems like I've gone back to the whole thrusting stance as well. It feels like the thrusting stance is just a lot more efficient in eliminating the enemy, especially when you're up against these units that have very, very heavy armor, and it's very difficult to do damage to that when you are slashing. That is really funny as well. I don't know whether you've noticed what's currently happening here, but these guys are literally blocking for this fellow, even though he is actually in the front. Did you see that? I thought that was very amusing. That's also something that I find kind of frustrating about... I mean, wait a minute. No, he's actually blocking with his staff. Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, never mind. I have actually just realized that that staff thing, the banner that he's using, is actually a shield. The mod creators have obviously made that into a shield. I had no idea that was the case. I actually just thought it was like a big pole arm or something like that. But no, it's actually a shield. I mean, technically it's a shield that has been remodeled. So that's actually super interesting, because that means that in those situations where we are attempting to kill one of those guys, he's not as vulnerable as you may think. You know what I mean? It's kind of a case of, oh well, you know, he's got a banner, but he's still going to be very difficult to eliminate because he's got a really, really good shield. Yes, there we are, and my fellows are now starting to finally get the upper hand in this battle, because it was looking a little bit touch and go to begin with. I don't know whether you noticed that, but yeah, we seem to be having some pretty big difficulties in dislodging the opponent from their various defensive positions, but thankfully it seems as though we have now achieved victory at Myzea. And this was pretty much a do-or-die situation because, well, while it doesn't really matter to the Southern Imperium that much, it obviously does matter to us, and does matter very specifically to my own army whether we are successful here. Because if not, then we are going to have some big problems about moving on to the various other castles in the area as well, and attempting to take those and indeed eliminate the other Imperiums as best we can. Anyway, I don't think there's... actually, you know what? We lost a lot of units in that fight. So let me level up a couple of people. We're also going to be selling a whole bunch of prisoners. I'm actually almost at 100 roguery. That's really, really funny in my opinion. Usually, obviously, if I'm not playing a bandit-based character, I tend not to really touch roguery that much. But yeah, it actually seems like it has leveled up pretty significantly over the course of this series, amusingly enough. Anyway, let's see what I can do here. I think I'm probably going to go for medicine. I mean, medicine's pretty good. It does reduce the amount of casualty chance by, wow, a grand 2.2%. That's really kind of bad, to be honest, but oh well, never mind. I guess I'm going to put a focus point in that, and the only other thing that I can do is basically put an attribute point into cunning, and otherwise we are almost completely maxed out. And there's Atrion Castle. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go over to Epinosa Castle, and hopefully Mr. Abelitos is going to do his very best to take Atrion Castle, because if he can take that and I can take Epinosa, then the Northern Imperium will literally just have Mekalovia Castle. Yes, they will literally just have Mekalovia Castle, and that is it. So that is going to be really, really nice to see. Hopefully it is going to work out that way. Bannerlord, you are going to be getting this, sir, as he currently has 0 relation with us. I'd like to be able to increase my relation with him at least a little bit. And Epinosa Castle, let's cross our fingers and hope that there are not too many units in the garrison there. I would very much appreciate it. And obviously, because the enemy's combat strength is so incredibly low, we should have a pretty easy time of even starting the siege, because let me have a look here. Yeah, it's actually not even bad, to be honest. I mean, I would have expected their combat strength to be a lot a lot lower, but it obviously is not. Okay, so let's have a look at the rest of the factions here. Yeah, the only other people that could potentially pose a threat are the Dryatics, which are technically the Vlandian replacement. They have 7,100 combat strength, but if you take a look, an actual closer look at what's even going on here with the Southern Imperium, we have 24 towns and 24 castles. I mean, even if our combat strength is not exactly the highest at the moment, it really shouldn't make any difference, because if any faction at this point in the game can take even half of our fiefs at the moment, then I would applaud them very, very heavily, because there's no way that anyone would be able to do that. But if they were, then obviously that would be a pretty significant swing of power in Calradia. But as it stands right now, I don't think that's going to happen. And that's also the reason why the series should probably, conclude relatively soon, because, well, there's not much more to do. The challenge has disappeared a little bit of time ago, I think. We seem to be able to mostly take almost any fief that we put our mind to. And bear in mind that I have not changed the difficulty since beginning. And usually, as I say to you, I will put player damage on 50%, because most of the time I don't really want to run into a battle, die instantly to a thrown weapon to the face, or arrow to the face, or anything to the face, basically. And generally I tend to play with that, and you'll know that I'm playing with that. But this time around I decided to go for a little bit more of a harsher experience, and I tried my best to, well, make it a little bit more difficult. Obviously, you got to bear in mind that I'm still using the experience gain mods and so on and so forth, because I personally don't want to be in a situation where I'm going to grind away at bandits over and over again. That's the only reason why I use those. But maybe in the next series I may do something a little bit more bare bones, and I might make it so that only our troops gain a little bit faster experience, but not myself. Maybe that would be an idea. I'm not entirely sure at the moment, but yeah, I know quite a few people have been really wanting a sort of hardcore sort of series, and it's kind of difficult for me to make that work in a watchable fashion, if you know what I mean, because otherwise there's going to be so much time investment required on my part off-screen that I'm basically going to be playing more off-screen than I would be playing on-screen, and it just doesn't really make sense to me in that case. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a bit of a weird situation to be in, because on the one hand I would very much like to do a hardcore series, but on the other hand I'm not sure how I can really make that work unless I'm spending a huge amount of time off-screen, which is obviously kind of defeating the purpose of the whole thing, because if you're not there for a lot of the events that transpire, and I'm obviously not talking about just grinding away at bandits here, because grinding away at bandits is certainly a lot of fun, and we all know that is a lot of fun. Yes, indeed. But yeah, that's kind of the sort of thought process that I'm kind of going through right now in regards to that, but maybe I can make it work somehow. I'm not sure. But we'll see. We'll see. There we go. I was actually very much hoping that I could get Everything Has a Price, but obviously the fiefs are kind of expensive anyway, so even if I were to get the perk, it probably wouldn't make too much difference, to be honest. It would probably be maybe possible for me to get 1, maybe 2 fiefs in exchange for a couple of castles or something like that. I mean, generally it would make it a lot easier, and I mean, that's the whole point of the perk, of course. It is a lot easier to gain certain territory strategically than to just go in and take it, just go in and conquer it, you know? So, I don't know. That's basically the only reason why I would get Everything Has a Price, because it just generally gives you a wide variety of extra options. And that's kind of also what I think is really cool about the game. They do give you a lot of different options. I'd like more options, actually. in the form of perks, because these perks are really, really quite cool to use, but I'd love to see more of that, you know? Different ways that we can engage the opponent. I think that would be a lot of fun. Anyway, yeah, the new owner of Epinosa Castle, this guy is literally just, I don't even know what he's doing. He's just trying his luck. I'm literally going to try my luck at, he hates me, doesn't he? Yes, he has negative 15 relation. There is no way I will be able to persuade him, unfortunately. 57. Okay, I actually could have made it if I had been successful on the first. Oh, actually, I can still make it. Oh, fantastic. Look at this. We might actually be able to get Manteos over to our side. This is actually kind of insane. I would not have expected this in a million years. But apparently he wants to join us for 322,000. I will say yes to that. There we go. And is he the owner of Atrion? No, he is not the owner of Atrion Castle. Ugh. Okay, well, I was kind of hoping, you know, that it might be a little coincidence that he might actually be the owner of Atrion Castle, but yeah, obviously that is not the case. Okay, let me actually just see who the owner of Atrion Castle is, because you never know. Maybe I'll be able to persuade him. Oh, it's Penton. There is no way. He has negative 40 relation with us, which is even worse than the other one. And here we go. We have a field battle. I was actually not really caring too much about these guys, and I basically just walked into them because I thought to myself, yeah, if they want to attack, then that's perfectly fine, because I will be ready for them. Alright, here we go. Increase max health of other heroes and increase your max health by 5. I guess I'll just take that. Doesn't really matter to me. Some of the medicine perks are really, really powerful. Like the final one, obviously, is pretty powerful. But on the whole, they're a little bit middling, you know. They give me a sort of feeling of, oh yeah, that's pretty decent. But that's not amazing, you know. They give me that kind of feeling. So, yeah, some of the time I just think, oh, you know, either one is fine. You know, either one should work quite well. Let me see if I can get a couple of headshots here. They have shields. Of course they do. It's going to be a bit difficult. The question I'm now posing myself is, why are my archers at the front? Did I do that? Because I could swear that I placed my infantry in front. Oh well, never mind. I guess we're just going to have to deal with that. I'm pretty sure we should achieve victory, but we are probably going to sustain quite a few casualties, but I don't know whether that really matters at this point. Because even if we are able to destroy this army, that is going to very dramatically reduce the amount of combat strength, the amount of presence in the area that the Northern Imperium has. And as a result, Abelitos' army, if he's still around, is probably going to have free reign to basically do whatever he wants to do, which is actually pretty fantastic, because then he's going to be able to move into the nearest fief and hopefully take it. And whether that is Atrion Castle or somewhere else, I'm perfectly happy with that. But yeah, that seems to be a victory for us. And my troops are sweeping over the opponent. And we've got a lot of level ups, actually. Yep, we got a lot of level ups. And hopefully we're going to be able to spend our upgrade points as well. There we go. Alright, so yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. I'm going to be taking them all prisoner. There is a peace agreement on the way as well. That's something that we have to remember. There is a peace agreement coming because war exhaustion is a thing. And I believe it's coming in a couple of minutes. Yes, indeed. Yeah, okay, so let's level up these guys real fast. Let's go into Argeron really quickly as well. I need to make sure that oh my. Abelitos' army is right there. I need to be very careful about my disorganized state at the moment. There we go. Okay, so he's right there. That's fine. Atrion Castle has been besieged by the Southern Imperium. Okay, so that's not even me, by the way. And someone is besieging that, so that's super nice. And we can now just sell all of this. There we are, another 50,000. That's pretty good. And now let's take a look at what's going on here. Okay, so these guys obviously want to try and fight me. They have some pretty strong... What is actually going on here with these guys? They have some very, very strong armies. 173 units and 260 combat strength. That's pretty amazing, I gotta say. That's actually quite good, considering they are from a minor faction. I wouldn't have expected that to be a thing, but apparently it is. Anyway, Atrion Castle is under siege by Mr. Faron here. As you can see, he has over 1,300 combat strength, and I'm very much hoping that he is going to go in here. I'm actually going to join the continuing siege. There we have it. Alright, so technically what we could do is just do an auto-resolve right here if we wanted. And I think we might actually just go ahead and do that. Boom. Super easy victory for us. And I believe that is pretty much it. I don't think we can do anything else because Mekalovia Castle is quite far away and we're going to be receiving 310 tribute per day. I mean, it's obviously completely useless. 310 really doesn't do anything to our coffers at all, but it is better than getting nothing. So we are going to support this and make peace with them straight away. There we go. I already sold all the prisoners back and all that stuff, by the way, as well, so I already gained all the money that I could have potentially gotten out of them. And there you go. So that's exactly what we have done. We have accomplished our objective, and we also did expand a little bit outward into Sturgian territory as well as Azerai territory too. Now, technically, you could say that I have not taken Epicrotia, Epicrotia being an Imperium fief and everything. And yes, technically you could say that I have not taken that. But I kind of think that we all know how it would go, to be honest. I mean, we have been able to take quite a few fiefs already, and it hasn't really proven to be that difficult. So with that, this is the final episode of the Eagle Rising series, and no doubt Eagle Rising is going to be returning to the channel at some point in the near future when it has been updated, and otherwise I welcome any suggestions on the next series. If you'd like to see something specific, then by all means let me know in the comments. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.